Okay, what's up, guys? Happy Friday, and this is going to be all notes. We'll take a test on this, and the test is only 5 problems. Sometime next week, and after that, we'll start reviewing for our final. I'm not too worried about the final for you guys. This stuff here will be on a test. It will not be on the final, okay? Because this is part of something bigger that we're never going to complete before the semester. Okay, now we're solving equations. We did these yesterday, so if I have to solve, I got to know how many solutions there are. So we have x to the second power. So anytime I see that, that's a dead giveaway that there's 2 answers. So I have x to the second, and I have x to the first. Now you're wondering, why do you keep doing that every time? Well, again, it ties into something bigger. So I want to make sure I have my 0, which I can find. Now I underline my terms and decide how many there are. There's 3, okay? So with 3 terms, and I need to solve an x to the second and x to the first, we need to use factoring. This whole process with these boxes, that's known as factoring. That's the process. That's what it's known as. So when I factor, first thing I look for is a GCF. And then since there are 3 terms, we're going to make our big second box split in half with the table. Okay. Okay, now GCF, first thing, is the very first number negative? Nope. And then do we have x on every line? Nope, not on 27, so I can't do x. And then if you enter in 1, 6, and 27, as I said numerous times, when I enter those 3 things in, I just get 1, okay? So if the GCF's 1, don't bother. Okay, so remember how we do the chart, A, B, C, okay? So I connect the A to the C. And when I multiply, I got to make sure I know that that 27 is negative. It's 1 times negative 27. So it's negative 27. So I got 27, and 27 is negative, remember. Okay, so 27 negative. So since I got a negative, the operation is to minus. And I want to minus till I get 6, and 6 is a negative, which is key. Okay, so 1 and 27. Well, 27 minus 1 is not 6. Okay. Now, pretend I put a 2 there. 27 divided by 2, that's 13.5, so I don't write 2 down. Now, if I put a 3 there and divide 27 by 3, I get 9. So I want to write 3 down and put a 9. Okay. So so again, that 6 right there is negative, so that makes our 9 negative for sure. Okay, the larger value always has the same sign as what came from the middle. And we have a negative up here, that's a negative 27, so the signs are opposite. So the opposite of a negative would be a positive. Okay, now we got 1x to the second. By the way, if you have something other, if that was a 5 there, we'd have to do this a little bit differently, but not today. That won't happen, okay? So I got 1x plus 3 minus 9. And these are my 2 factors. Remember, if that equaled 0, then these equal 0. So that's factor 1, that's factor 2. So either 1 times x plus 3 could equal 0, or 1 times x minus 9 could equal 0. So I dot my x's circle, I minus 3. So 1 times x. 0 minus 3 is negative 3. And then you divide by 1, it's still going to keep it at negative 3. Okay, now in the other part, we add 9 to both sides. So 1 dot x equals 9. Then I divide by 1, 9 divided by 1 is 9. So negative 3 and 9. Okay, the next one I have negative 12x to the second power plus 36x equals 0. So we do have the second power. Means 2 answers. And I have x to the second power, and I've got x to the first power. Okay, so we're going to have to use our boxes. So I got to know what I need for boxes. So there's two terms. So two terms at this point in our class is just the GCF. That gets me to where I want to be. Okay, I like to put the equals 0 because it's still equal to 0. I'm just taking this and rewriting it in a different form. GCF. Okay, I have a negative in front this time, so the GCF's negative automatically. And then I have two lines, and x appears on both lines. So I take the smaller x out, x to the second. And then in between those, I got to look for a number with 12 and 36. Okay, so I go 12, comma 36, and I got 12. Okay, so negative 12, x to the power of 2. X to the power of 1, sorry. So negative 12, x to the 1 comes out. And then I go up here and divide by negative 12x to the 1. Now when I'm dividing by any kind of x, I know I can cross out the x's right there at this point. So I divide negative 12 by negative 12. It is positive 1. Okay, and then x, 2 minus 1 is 1. And then positive 36 divided by negative 12 is negative 3. So I got 3 with a minus. Okay, because it's negative, you want to write minus. Now get these 1s out of here. Okay. And then this can be my F1. This is my F2. Okay. So negative 12x could equal 0. Or the second scenario, 1 times x minus 3 could equal 0. Okay, so I dot and circle. Dot and circle. So I divide by negative 12, divide by negative 12. So 0 divided by anything, 0. And then over here I plus 3, so 1 times x equals 3. And 3 divided by 1 is 3. 0 and 3 are the two solutions to that equation. Okay, problem number 3, I've got two answers because we have x to the second power minus 15x plus 50, x to the second. And it seems to me we have x to the second, and I've also got x to the first. Okay, so that means I need to underline, make sure I have my 0, then underline how many terms I have. That'd be a 1, so that's 3. We got 3 terms. So with 3 terms, just like when there's 2, I do want to get in the habit of making a GCF. I know you think that sounds stupid for now, and I don't blame you, okay? But it will be beneficial later on. Okay, so GCF equals. And then the table. Remember, I got to put a number there, so I want to leave a little bit of room there. Okay, so GCF, no negative there. You do not, you have x here, not there. So you cannot put an x. That disables you from being able to put an x. Then 1, 15, and 50 gives me 1. Okay, so it's just 1 that's out. And then I go A, B, and C. So I take 1 times 50. That's 50, and it's positive 50. So since that's positive, this time we add to try to come up with this number, 15, and 15's negative. Okay, so 1 and 50. Now 50 plus 1 is not 15. Now if I put a 2 there, 50 divided by 2 is 25. So I want to write 2 down along with 25. 25 plus 2 is not 15. 3 is a okay, imagine putting a 3 down. That's a decimal. Imagine putting a 4 down. Decimal. Then a 5 down. I got 5 and 10. Okay, so 5 and 10. Okay, so if you do 10 plus 5, that's 15 right on the money. So there we go. Now 15's negative over here, so what's that mean? It means 10's negative. Now we have a positive up there. What's it mean? It doesn't mean that's positive. It just means that the signs are the same, not the opposite. So they have to be the same. Because a negative times a negative is a positive. Okay, so A is 1, so you make 2 parentheses. And then you're going to go 1x times 1x minus 5 minus 10. And remember, this equals 0. Okay, I just took this and unmultiplied it. Because if you do the rainbows, you end up at this. I'm just rewriting it before I did the rainbows. F1, F2. Okay, so 1x minus 5 could equal 0, or 1x minus 10 could equal 0. So dot your x's. So I plus 5, so 1 times x equals 5. You can divide by 1, don't have to, it's still 5. And then you plus 10, 1 times x equals 10. Then 10 divided by 1 is 10. So we have, divided by 1 is 10. Okay, number 4, 5x minus 4 equals 7x plus 17. All right. There's no second power in there. There's just one answer. Okay. So I don't want to mess around with the boxes. Wherever I have x, I'm going to box up. And they're on opposite sides, so we need to get rid of this 7x. Now it's positive, so I'm going to subtract 7x. Then I'll subtract 7x from 5. Okay, 5 minus 7, it's going to give me negative 2. So negative 2x minus 4 equals 17. Okay, now that I have my single x, I can just dot it with its multiplier and do the opposite of minus 4, which is add 4. 17 plus 4 is 21, so negative 2 dot x equals 21. Then I divide both sides by negative 2, and I divide 21 by negative 2, and that's negative 10.5. Okay, now, if you remember, we had these story prompts, but it's been a while. So we're going to refresh our memory a little bit. A dolphin jumped out of water with an initial velocity of 32 feet per second. After how many seconds does the dolphin enter water? So there's our answer down there. I'll put the answer there. Now, there's 2 units. So remember 2 units. That box, this box. And we're going to need the third box to be pretty big. Just trust me on this. This is called a motion problem, okay? The dolphin's in motion. So there's 2 units. You got feet and seconds. We know that the x is the seconds, and then the feet is dependent on the seconds. So per, and that'd be feet per second, and that's the only number I have in the problem really is 32, so 32 feet per second. Now, this does not go in a line. The dolphin goes up, but he comes back down. That is known as a parabola, P-A-R-A-B-O-L-A. He lands at 0. Just assume that he lands at 0 feet. So, now it's time to write the equation. Now, any parabola we want to set up like this. Blank x to the second plus blank x plus blank equals y. Okay, from a story problem, that's how we're going to do the setup right there. Now, you're wondering what goes in for x to the second. And also, anytime you're doing a motion problem, negative 16x to the second will be in the equation. That's even though you don't see it in the problem, it's still going to go there because that's gravity. The laws of gravity apply everywhere on Earth at all times. So negative 16 is going to be used on all of these motion problems. Okay, now your x, that comes from up here, 32. Now, there are no other values I need to worry about, so I'm going to take this out. Don't need that blank. Now, when would you need that? That's if the dolphin would jump from like up higher. Like let's say the dolphin jumped from 20 feet, then I would use 20 by itself in that blank. But you know what? He didn't. They'll tell you if you jump from higher than above the level. All right, so 0 feet goes into the equation, and 0 feet goes in for y. Get the 0 from over here. So you can just kind of scribble out the y and put 0. Now we're set up. We're ready to rock and roll. We have x to the second, so I'm looking for 2 solutions. And we have x to the second, and we have it to the first. But there's only 2 lines. I just need to do the GCF. And then that takes me to where I want to be. GCF, we have a negative in front. Put a negative. You have x second, x to the first. So on both lines, you have some kind of x. So we take the x to the smallest power. And then 16 and 32. 16 comma 32 is 16. Okay, now I put that up here, 16x to the 1, and I just go and divide by that. We know what happens here. Negative 16 divided by negative 16 is 1. 2 minus 1 is 1, so x to the first. And then I take positive 32 divided by negative 16. I get negative 2, so I put a 2 minus. Okay, that's all you need. That's the end of your boxes, so you should be able to do your F1, F2 then. So F1, F2. Take those 1 powers away. So, negative 16x could equal 0, or 1 times x minus 2 could equal 0. Okay, so I divide by negative 16, divide by negative 16, and that's 0 as a solution, plus 2. I'm going to explain what the 0 means on a story problem. 1 dot x is 2, divide by 1, divide by 1, 2 divide by 1 is 2. Now you want to pick the higher answer, 2, and that's what you want to put over here. Now you're wondering, well, why is 0 there? Because it's at 0 feet here too, but dolphin hasn't jumped yet, so that's why 0 seconds. But we want to know when he's here, so that would be the higher seconds. Okay, I'm going to do another one. A spittle bug, jumps into the air with an initial velocity of 10 feet per second. After how many seconds does a spittle bug land on the ground? I have no idea what a spittle bug is. Once again, so 2 units in algebra. We kind of do 3 boxes. We're going to need a big box here because, again, this is a motion problem. The bug's not going to go up in a line. He goes up, comes back down. So in motion, we're always going to have negative 16x to the second, even though you don't see that. It's gravity. Okay, so we have feet and seconds. X is seconds, Y is feet. So it's per feet per second, and 10 is your feet per second. So again, it's motion. So, and by the way, we're going to assume he lands here on the ground. Ground 0 feet. Okay, that's how high the ground is. So with a parabola, it goes blank x squared plus blank x plus blank equals y. So x squared, we have our negative 16. X, we have 10. This is how to construct a motion equation. And you have no other values, okay? The bug jumped from the ground, so we're going to assume that there's nothing in the constant box or on the constant line. Okay, now that's the equation. Now we take the 0 feet and put it in the equation, just like I do on the lines, okay? 0 feet, it goes in for y. Okay, so I have two answers because there is a second power. And we have x to the second power. We also have it to the first power. So it looks to me like there's 2 lines because I got rid of that third one. So 2 lines is just the GCF. And that'll be where my F1 and F2 come from. Okay, so GCF, we have a negative in the very front. The first number is negative. That means my GCF should be negative. And you have x2 and x1. You don't have a third line, so we got to do x1. And then 16 and 10. So 16, comma 10. I got 2. Okay, so negative 2x to the 1 comes here. That's your F1. And I divide by negative 2x1, divide by negative 2x1, and these cross out. Okay, now negative 16 divided by negative 2 is 8. X, 2 minus 1 is 1. Then positive 10 divided by negative 2 is negative 5. So we have 5 minus. That's F2. Now, get those 1 powers out of there. You don't want 1 powers when you're solving an equation. It just serves as a distraction. So negative 2x could equal 0, or 8 times x minus 5 could equal 0. Divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2, and that's 0. Plus 5, 8 times x equals 5. And we're dividing by the 8, not the 5, okay? If you put 1.6 down, it's wrong. 5 divided by 8 is 0.625. Now, I know 0.625 is not a whole lot of seconds, but it's the higher of the two, so that's your answer. Okay, now the second one's real easy. No, we're not solving all these, okay? Now, remember what I said when you got x squared and x to the first, you need 0. The problem is you don't have it on any of these, so here's how you fix that. All you simply do is minus your 7, okay? And then 7 didn't have an x, did it? Okay? Because you don't have 0. Okay, so if you don't have 0, the first thing you do is go blank x second plus blank x plus blank equals 0. This is my goal, to fill that out. So I subtract 7. Okay? Now, and put a 1 in front of that. Now, 7 can't go with 1x to the second power. 7 doesn't have x to the second power. There's an x to first. Well, 7 doesn't have x to the first. 18 doesn't have an x, and 7 doesn't have an x, so that's where I want to minus 7. So x second, I got 1. X is x to the first, I have 3. And then numbers without x, I got 18 minus 7. 18 minus 7 is 11. Don't solve it. You're just trying to get it equal to 0. Okay, you got x second, you got x. Okay? So I go blank x second plus blank x plus blank. I know what some of you might be thinking now, but that's okay. Okay, now let's look over here on this side. And you can probably get rid of that first power. So that 3x is positive. It's positive. So I want to subtract 3x. So I subtract 3x, I get rid of it, but then I have to take away 3x from the other side. But here's a problem. That's x. This is x to the second, so they don't go together. Now you're like, well, where the heck's it go? Because I don't see anything over there that just has an x. Okay? Well, you put it out here, minus 3x. You just put it kind of above your equal sign. So you minus 3x here, get rid of it. There's really nothing that goes with over there because that's x to the second. Then you have 6 for x second, minus 3, so you'd have negative 3x. Then I don't really see any other numbers here, okay? So cross it out. That's the equation. All right, next problem. Again, x second, x first. So I got blank x second plus blank x plus blank equals 0. Okay, we got to get rid of that 10x to first, so I subtract 10x to the first. I'll put the first there, what the heck. That cancels it out. Now remember, that was x to first. Do you see x to first on the other side? No, you don't, so you put it up here, kind of minus 10x to the first. Remember, it's minus. So x second, I have 4. X is x to first, I have negative 10. So if you're minusing, we'll have it as a negative. And then I don't have anything else, okay? So I get rid of this. Okay, next problem. These go pretty quick. So you got x second, nothing, x to first, and nothing. So blank x second plus blank x plus blank. Remember, that means to the first. Okay, so here's my equals. So I got two things over here. I've got 8x to the first. Now that's a positive, so I minus 8x to the 1. Cross it out. Do I have x to the 1 on the other side? I don't, okay? So I just put minus 8x to the 1, kind of up here. It doesn't have to be neat. It just goes right there. Then I got minus 10. Well, then I plus 10, and 10 doesn't have an x. What other number over here doesn't have an x connected to it? Well, that does, but that doesn't. So I'm going to add 10 here. Now we got quite the little mess here, but I'm about to clean it up. X second, I got 1. X, that's x to the first. Not here, it'd be the negative 8. And then here is numbers without the x. Well, I got 5 and 10. 5 plus 10 is 15. Okay, next up. Again, anytime you have x second, x to first, you have to get it equal to 0. Blank x second plus blank x plus blank equals 0. Okay, so over here I got negative 23, so I would add 20. I would plus 23x to the 1. It's negative is like a minus, so you add. Now I have to add 23x to the 1 somewhere over here. It's got to be an x to the, I got to look for an x to the 1 though, and I ain't seeing it. So I put plus 23x to the 1 just kind of on top of the equals. X second, I got 1. X, that means I'm looking for x to the first, and not there, but it'd be the 23. Then numbers without x, I got 22. Okay, next up, again, you got x. And then, by the way, if you had to solve this, which you don't, you'd find the two answers. You'd have 3 lines. You'd do the GCFT. That's not what this assignment's about. Okay, I've got x second, I've got x first, but where's my 0? I don't have it. So, blank x second plus blank x plus blank equals 0. So what do we have over there instead of 0? We have a 7. Now it's positive 7, so I'm going to minus 7. Okay, so 7 didn't have an x, so I got to find a number over here without an x. That has one. That has one. That does not. Okay, so x second, we got 1. X first, I got negative 2. And then non-x numbers, well, I have 2 of them, so I need to combine them. I just do the math. I take negative 8, because 8's negative, subtract minus 7, negative 15. Okay, next one. X second, x first. Whenever we have those two things, we have to get the equation equal to 0. Right now, I do not see a 0 because you do the F1, F2 equals 0 because you have 0 over there. You can't do that with any other number. You can't do it with 5. A lot of people think you can. No. Okay, so I have positive 5, so I'm minus 5. Now, I got to find another number over here without an x behind it. Well, that has one. That has one. So we just put minus 5 up above the equals sign. So x second, I got 7. X I don't need the 1 down here. I have the 2, then I've got negative 5. That's how you set it up when it doesn't equal 0. Okay, next one, same idea. Right now, I've got blank x second plus blank x plus blank because I don't see my 0. Instead, I have a 22x. So it's positive 22, so I minus 22x. And these are first, remember. Remember, you got to find x to the first. Well, it ain't here, and it's not here, so I'm going to minus 22x to the first above the equals. So x second, I got 56. X means x to the first right here with the negative 22. Remember, minus, I put it as a negative because I was minusing it above the equals. And then here I got 2. Okay, have a good weekend.